that a breakup?
I think we have a situation right here.
On the filling station.
Hello, brother Carlos.
Yes, Tinto, how are you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
I am great.
Good for us to reconnect after what was a really interesting episode. You'll be pleased to know that the feedback that has come from that has been tremendous. You left people in such suspense. You cannot disappoint with the rest of the story. No pressure.
I cannot disappoint for sure. I don't know. We just recap and get straight into it?
Yeah, I guess. So recap for those who are listening to this episode, just to jog your memory a little bit. From the last episode, Lutando came from a broken home. She had a huge wall that Carlos was able to break through. And in breaking through, it feels like he didn't really pay as much attention as he was supposed to. And then she kind of felt as if she was drifting away. But put that to the side, Carlos had an artist that he was managing. Artist was becoming very popular on Instagram. And on Instagram, you noticed somebody was liking the pictures and he went to check out who this person was. And this person happened to be Remoyo. Is that good enough for recap?
Yes, that is.
Hey, 10 out of 10 from my memory. I kind of shocked myself. It doesn't happen very often.
If I didn't know better, I'd say you really were tuned in. You had your ears glued in as we were going through the story. Hey?
So let's get straight into it. Let's pick it up from the Instagram story and this person who you're checking out.
Okay.
Remoyo. That's the name, right?
Going through Remoyo's profile.
Yeah.
And me being a watches kind of person, I love watches so much. I have a bit of a collection.
Mm-hmm.
So she happened to post one particular picture of a watch that she had just bought.
Mm.
And that was a conversation starter.
There's always a conversation starter for you, isn't there? Because the last time it was vodka with the cousin. This time it's watches. All right. Okay.
So with this particular watch, it's I got so fascinated by the fact that it was a smartwatch. At the time, I think 2018 was when they really started getting more of those on Android.
Okay.
So I decided, let me start my conversation from there. And I was like, okay, fine. I like this watch. Then in the comments, she had a friend of hers she was having a discussion with regarding the watch.
Yeah.
In which the friend was saying, oh, you actually then went and bought it. So now when are we getting mine? Then I said, oh, let me know when you guys are doing this whole thing because I'd love to join through.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe we can start like our little watch stock fair type of situation where we gather our money together, get a big watch for somebody.
Nice.
And then, hopefully we can start with a Rolex because I'm a Rolex kind of guy.
Ooh. You're not an expensive guy, are you? Nah, not really, huh?
No, not really. But I'm a bit of a cheapskate though. So I do go for like bargains. I'm a bargain buyer.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So with that particular conversation, it steered within the watch's direction until she then comes to my DMs.
Oh.
And she says, I was going through your profile and I noticed your face is very familiar, but I can't really pinpoint where I know you from. I started thinking, I am a people's person, but not to that extent. Like I meet people often through events and stuff like that. I've been into events for years. So I tried asking her if she knew a couple of events that I've hosted or been to.
Yeah.
She had no clue. Then the only point of call from there was high school. I'm like, okay, fine, high school. Which high school did you go to? Then she told me the high school.
Yeah.
Still didn't ring a bell. Where she grew up, still didn't ring a bell. So funny enough, she was from Harare, but she had moved from Harare, from Bulawayo to Harare when she was starting a high school. So we still couldn't figure out where we knew each other from. Then we just maintained conversation from there. That was, I think, around November, December 2017. Then 2018, August. January.
Yeah.
The vibe is now so strong between us that it's almost a relationship per se.
Ooh.
So when I then started getting deeper into conversation with her, we then fell for each other so deeply because we were open with each other from the word go. And we kept playing a little bit of mind games, but with more on a realistic level. we saw each other, updating each other on how our day's going. Everything just got so intense.
From the sound of things, it doesn't sound like you guys are in the same location. You're in South Africa, right? Where was she?
So this is the story. I was in South Africa. She was. I was about to get to that.
Okay.
She was in the US.
Oh, okay.
She was working on a cruise ship as an
Nice.
assistant. So the time difference now had us a bit mixed up, but we still never lost touch.
Yeah.
So me being a light sleeper, I don't know. I sleep less hours. I don't know why. 4 hours for me is good enough. I would sleep late, wake up very early, start my day with her, end my day with her.
Oh, nice.
And I then stopped talking to Lutando.
Oh, do you know? I was just about to ask
And
because
my
because it felt like you and Lutando had started drifting quite a bit. So did you just stop abruptly? What
it was
happened?
more of a test, to be honest. I was wrong to have done so, but it's now water under the bridge. We are way past it now. I can now talk about it freely. When I did that, it was more to see where she stood in the relationship. Was she willing to fight for it, or was she just going to give up?
Yeah.
Because I'd been the one initiating conversation throughout. I'll text her early in the morning. She replies around 5, 6 p.m. or sometimes no reply at all. So it got me to a point where I just felt, no, let me just keep my distance a little bit so I can see if she's willing to put in a bit of effort on her part.
Yeah.
And funny enough, there was nothing.
Wow.
Then she says, okay, fine. You know what? It's not an issue.
Yeah.
And then she just went for it. She didn't contest it anymore. She just walked away. And within a space of about 4 months, she was engaged already.
To someone else.
To somebody, a workmate of hers.
So this dude was in the picture, obviously.
That's what I like to believe.
And by the same token, remember you said once upon a time that she would go for swimming with workmates, and they're all males, and then she would just disappear for the night. And then for her to eventually then get married to a workmate again. I mean, for me, I'm not a rocket scientist, but that sounds to me like she was spending time with this guy. Anyway.
That's the same thing I thought too. It could have been the same guy that the phone was forgotten in the car the other time.
Yeah.
Fast forward to February, Jamoya then contacts, she says she's going to be around for she was coming for a vacation in 2 weeks' time.
From the US.
From the US.
Yeah.
Then she did point out that she was going to Zim to visit her family, and then she was going to go somewhere for her holiday. And I said, okay, fine. So what are the chances that I can see you? Then she says her flight was going to be laying over in Joburg for 6 hours before she proceeds to Zim. So I did my little drive, went to the airport. We had a mini lunch sort of. We spoke. We agreed. And I will not lie, the very first sight of her, I was mesmerized. I was gone.
You're always getting mesmerized, brother, because remember, that was the same reaction you had when you saw Lutando for the first time. You were literally mesmerized. So either you've got really good taste or, brother, you just get mesmerized so easily. Which one is it?
There was just something about her that was unique. Even her accent, the way she spoke. I remember a little later into the story, she worked for a company that actually ended up using her voice as the voicemail to their.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So she just had that effect on me. And at the airport, we have our drink, we chill, we talk. Her flight's about to leave now. I walk her to the boarding gate, and before she leaves, first kiss.
Just like that.
So this had never happened to me before. This never happened ever in my life. I was completely in shock. I'm like, okay,
how did that feel?
That made the first move? Was it her that made the first move? Nobody really knows.
Oh, you couldn't tell. It was just an entanglement of emotion and excitement at the same time.
I was about to say it was more emotional excitement that just got us so hooked, and then we were in that zone.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yes. So she boarded, she went to Zim, she got to Zim, she then now got in like every single detail she was now updating. So she did say she was coming back to Joburg in about 2 days' time, but she was only going to be there again for 2 days.
Yeah.
because she was proceeding to Zanzibar for her vacation.
Okay.
No, actually, I then offered and I said, okay, so where are you going to be staying? Then she says, I'm still looking through my Airbnb to see if I can find a place.
Mm-hmm.
Then I said, why book an Airbnb when I'm here?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I do not know where that came from because this was not in my nature.
I could tell you where it came from. It came from that chemistry you felt from that first kiss, brother. You just wanted to be as close as she was all the time.
I felt like a baby who just got a new toy. It was so exciting. That thrill that we had, that vibe, that connection.
Yeah.
I just wanted it to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
At first, she said she'd think about it.
Mm-hmm.
She thought about it, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and then she didn't say yes. Actually, she just sent me the itinerary for a flight. So my flight arrives at this time. I'll be at the airport at this time. So
Yeah.
how do I get to your place? And I said, okay, fine. If you can't find the how train, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also make my way halfway to the airport so that if you do find the train, I can then make a U-turn and come back up, pick you up from the station.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she got to the airport. She couldn't find the trains. The trains had stopped already.
Mm-hmm.
I proceeded to the airport, picked her up, got to my place. I cooked.
Mm-hmm.
So I love cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I cooked. She's taking a shower. She comes back. We ate. We chilled. We talked. Come now, sleep time. She says, no, you're not sleeping in the same bed as me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know guys and their expectations. And I said, no. I think I've told you this before. I'm not driven by sex. That is the last thing on my mind.
Yeah.
In any relationship. I think she says, okay, fine, it will take you proving. So it's okay. You can sleep next to me, but promise me nothing will happen.
No hanky panky.
No problem.
Mm-hmm.
We slept. The most we did was cuddle, and that was it. We slept throughout the night, second night, third night, and then on the third night now, that's when all hell broke loose around 4 or 5 a.m. Again, it was a mutual.
One of them mutual ones, you don't know who started what, but it went down.
Know who started it, but it just happened.
Okay.
And then straight from there, she went to the airport. Mm-hmm. I went to work. Mm-hmm. Then she starts texting now at the airport, and she says, dude, I do not know how that happened, but it was crazy. I've never felt that way before. So she gets to Zanzibar, she chills. I'm also getting about my business, and we're now talking more often. We got super, super close. That I think in that moment she was there is when she realized that she actually wanted to have me in her life for good. Wow. And also on my part, seeing the connection that we had, it was something I never wanted to lose. Yeah. Instead, I saw myself wanting to work more towards perfecting that. Nice. So I remember just before she left, she had done blood tests for work. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's how it started. So she did blood tests for her workplace, and she shows me the results, and she says, just in case you catch something or you have something, just know it didn't come from me because I'm clean. Wow. So I'm like, okay. I don't know why I'm getting this, but okay. So that's what led to everything else then happening. Okay, that makes sense now. Yeah. So now she came back about a week later. So when she came back a week later, she texted before she came, and she told me she wanted us to have drinks with a friend of hers. Mm-hmm. So this friend, I said, okay, fine. Which friend is this? And she says, no, there's a friend of mine. Her name is so-and-so. Mm-hmm. She sent me a picture of the friend. I'm like, hold up. I know this girl. I went to high school with her. Ooh. Like literally this girl used to sit right next to me in Form 4. Wow. So she says, so probably that's where I know you from, because I've been friends with her since we were kids. Our families are pretty much friends. Yeah. And I said, oh, okay, cool. So she says, yeah, so this friend's boyfriend had flown in from Cape Town to Joburg to see the friend. Mm-hmm. Then I said, oh, so if she's talking about a boyfriend, I have a feeling I know who the person is, because I have a friend who had been making moves on this girl since we were in high school. Oh, wow. And she kept saying no. Mm-hmm. Now, this is 10 years later. How many years later? 10 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And these guys are now kicking it. Mm. But in them kicking it, this friend of mine is also messed up in his own way, because he's married, he's got 2 kids, and he plays his games from time to time.
So
So
what? So that guy was currently married?
currently, yes.
Wow. And he was having
So,
he had this girl as a side piece.
as a side piece.
That's
And it's not
crazy.
the first time we've done it, because he even got to an extent where he came to Joburg for a trip that he had. And in that trip of his, I went to pick him up with my then girlfriend from the airport. We dropped him off at his Airbnb, and then we had his birthday party the next day. The day he was supposed to go back to Cape Town, I wasn't able to take him to the airport, so I had my then girlfriend take him to the airport. In her taking him to the airport, obviously they had to exchange numbers. They got into contact, they started talking. When I then had issues with my girl, was because of him.
What?
He had now went and said certain things about me. I have no idea what he said. To this day, she never really opened up to what he said, but she did tell me a little bit. But in that moment that we were in separation, he actually made 2 more trips that he came back to Joburg to visit my then girlfriend, and he slept with
You're
her.
joking.
Yes.
Jeez.
So I explained all of this to Jemoya. Then Jemoya says, "Oh, funny enough,
Yeah.
this friend of mine that we're also going to see, the one that he's with now currently, also had a similar situation with me. She went and stole a guy I was dating at the time."
Yo, this is one crazy
And I'm like,
circle.
why are we going to chill with this circle if they've done the same to you? Then she says, unfortunately, I can't just sideline her because she's a family friend.
Oh my
So by
gosh.
me being in the same city, if her mother then finds out I came here and I didn't check up on her, it just wouldn't be right.
That is crazy.
So I said, okay, fine. You know what? I'm only doing this for you.
Jeez. Okay.
So we went out, we had drinks with this couple.
Yeah.
While we're in the club, some guy keeps looking at our table funny, and I could tell there was a messy vibe there. And it got to a point where Jemoya vanished for a few minutes. And then this guy wasn't there at the bar anymore.
Oh no.
Only when I got outside to take my cap to the car, because the security then came to me and told me about my cap. Like I never leave my cap. I always have a hat on.
Yeah.
So they complained. They said, no, we're not allowed to you're not allowed to have a cap in indoors.
Yeah.
So I took it out, take it to the car, and I was now feeling hot, so I need to leave my jacket as well. I go to the car. There's Jemoya standing outside with this guy. So I got back to the car. I got back to the bar, chilled. 20, 30 more minutes, she's still not back. That's when friend, let's call friend Mofu. That's when Mofu started freaking out. And he says to his girl, call your friend. She just vanished, and then all of a sudden now she's nowhere to be found. And yet here from the angle I'm sitting, I can see her outside. She's with a guy. So what picture does that paint?
That's not a good picture.
Yeah, if you guys wanted to see your people, you should have just told us not to be here.
Yeah.
We could have had our own drinks at home or something like that.
Yeah.
I think the friend then went and told her. Then she came back.
That's terrible. I mean, so who's that guy?
The minute she comes back, she starts kissing me and she says, there's something I need to talk to you about.
Oh my goodness.
So let me know when we get home so we can talk about it.
So, just whilst you're on that point, remember it's important for me to capture some lessons out of the story. So I remember we got a few lessons from Lutando's story. Now from Jemoya's story, what are the lessons that you want people listening to this episode to pick up?
Do not ignore certain signs.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, be observant in the things you do with the person. Understand the person first before you nurture whatever connection you have into
something serious.
Want to be serious. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I know so much, and don't procrastinate as well on let's say confrontations on anything.
Okay. I mean, be upfront. You see a problem, deal with it right there and then.
Yes. Deal with the problem right away. Don't procrastinate on it. So that was my major problem. I think I overlooked certain things, but they were very important to have been pointed out then.
So just to reemphasize for those who are listening, the 3 lessons to pick up from today's episode are that 1, do not procrastinate. 2, if you see red flags, again, don't procrastinate, deal with them right and then. And always be on the lookout for stuff. Be observant.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Let's go.
And at the same time, I'll also add on, I think, just one last piece of lesson. I think the grass is not always greener on the other side. It's
Ooh.
greener where it's watered.
Yeah, I've heard this before. Yeah, I've heard this before. So the grass is not always greener.
Yes. Why I said that is because on that very day when we got back home, that's when I then made it clear with Lutando that we're done.
Okay. Yeah.
And I then focused on Remoyo completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we got home, that's when she then explains about that guy. She says, "Oh, dude, that guy that was at the club, he's like I told you, I've been single for 6 years, but I do have guys that I used to constantly see for certain benefits. And every time I came back home for my vacation, I would see these guys. So he happens to be one of them."
Bros in different area codes, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I then said, okay, fine. So is this something I should worry about in the future before I invest fully?
Yeah.
Or is this something you're dropping the ball on now? Then she says, that ball's dropped. I have you. So she started going on showering praises. She now started talking about me to her friends, everybody. We got so comfortable we could, well, I never had issues. I could reply messages straight in her face.
Yeah.
I could unlock my phone and respond to anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
Right there with nothing hidden.
Yeah.
She had access to my phone. My bank cards, she knew my PIN codes. Then this is in a space of 2 months.
Wow.
So she stayed. Then she proceeded to Cape Town for a work convention she was going to. She was going for some training. So she was in training in Cape Town for like a week. She invited me over to Cape Town. Then she says, why don't you come through? And I said, no problem. I went to Cape Town. I spent the weekend with her there. In that moment of my arrival in Cape Town, because I used to live in Cape Town as well, I had Mofu's younger brother pick me up from the airport.
Yeah.
Then we went to the Mug and Bean where I used to work. I had my lunch. We chilled. We talked, waited for Jamoya to finish her training. She finished. We went for drinks. Oh, no. She then pointed out she had spoken to her brother. So her brother also lives in Cape Town. So I spoke to my brother. I told him I wanted to introduce somebody to him. I feel like you're the one, and I want to introduce you to my family. I had all sorts of mixed emotions with that. But nevertheless, I said it wasn't a problem because I knew what I wanted. I knew what I stood for. I was ready. She was the one.
Yeah.
We get to the brother's house. The brother starts talking about a pastor we needed to go and see. We saw this pastor, but we saw him briefly. And then he said he needed to see me and Jamoy the next day. Got home, went to the pastor's house. In that moment, the pastor then says, I need to talk to you, both of you. But I need to talk to you separately. So he sent her to go and buy milk and eggs. Then she went out to buy the milk and eggs. I stayed in the room. He started asking me questions. What is it that I want? What is it that I hope to achieve? Where I aim to go with her in a relationship and where I aim to go personally in my own personal life. And I explained to him. Then he says, as I look at you, I see a mother, but I don't see a father figure. Where is your dad? So it didn't make sense to me. So fine, I understood maybe in that moment, because it was now a month and a half after my parents had just separated.
Whoa.
So I didn't understand if he meant this because my parents are separated, because my story has a bit of a twist to it, my life story. My mom only told me in 2017, when she came to visit me in SA, that the father who I've always knew as my father, who grew up taking care of me as my father, who she's been married to since I was a little bit before I was born, is actually not my biological father. So my mother was statutory raped by a guy she had met earlier. And he got her pregnant. So when she was already pregnant, that's when her uncle took her in. But because Ndara was more friends with her uncle, he fell for her, even as she was pregnant.
Okay.
He insisted that he loved her as she was, and he wanted to take care of her and the child.
Whoa,
So he claimed the pregnancy as his, and he married my mom, and then they lived together till now.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah. So all this I'd explained to Jamoya. She knew about it. She knew. I even now then knew who my biological father was, and I told her. But I had tried to reach out to him once and he never really was responsive, so I let it slide. But Moyo then actually pushed forward to help me find him. She got me his phone number. She told me where he worked. So in that gesture alone, also then reassured me of how serious she was about me, because she was willing to go the extra mile in anything that concerned me, which is what made me put more value to her as a partner. And also wife material, because she was willing to go the extra mile for me.
Yeah.
So I explained that story to this man, and then he says, okay, fine, it makes sense now. Then he said, you need to see your father. You need to find out where your kumusha is. You need to find out what your totem is. I mean, in pursuit of finding that, I had to now then contact him. That's how Jamoya then found his number. She did a bit of research and she got me his number and she gave it to me.
Yeah.
Then I also then got sent to buy something, and Jamoya stayed with this guy. It's only that moment when I was on my way to the store that I decided, you know what? Going back to Pretoria, let's not go back by plane. Let's go back by bus. I feel like there's more we need to talk about and more to share that we probably won't share in 2 hours of a flight, but we can share in those 12 hours of a bus ride. It was more of a tolerance test to see how well we can tolerate each other under pressure and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So we took a bus ride back to Pretoria. And in that moment, as we were going, that's when I got hold of her phone and I took her friend's number. And I thanked the friend for accepting me and for understanding that I wanted to be with her friend.
Yeah.
So because her birthday was coming that week, I then started making plans for her birthday. So I called the friend in Zim and I said I needed if she knew anybody who did cakes in SA, because I was trying to get a cake for her. Then the friend says, you know what? Don't worry. I'll make a cake for you here in Zim because I'm a baker. So all you need to do is find means of transporting it to you guys. Then I said, okay, fine. So she spoke to a friend of hers as well, who then was traveling that same week. So the friend was flying in on a Wednesday. I wanted to do the party on a Saturday. So Wednesday morning, I left the house early and I said I needed to do something before I go to work.
Yeah.
I picked up a cake at the airport, took it to my aunt's house, left my aunt with some money, and I said she could buy meat and drinks for the weekend.
Yeah.
I needed to introduce somebody to them. And I called my uncle. And I said, Uncle, this is a situation. I know it's a bit too early for me to be saying, but me and this girl have been together this long and I feel like she's the one.
Yeah.
I want to take it to the next step. Then my uncle says, no problem. Plus, also the other thing was we were all constantly busy. We had never gotten a chance to actually chill and be together in one space for me to thank even those uncles and aunts, because they were the people that also took me in when I moved to Joburg. So I felt it was only right that I do it then. They agreed. They said, fine, we can do it at my uncle's house. We meet on Saturday. So I said I'd go spend the night on Friday. So Friday after work, I woke Jamoya up. I told her we needed to go to my uncle's place. We went to my uncle's. We spent the night. Saturday morning, we drove out and pretended to look for, well, not pretend, but we were looking for stuff for my uncle. Until the friends gathered in the spot where I was supposed to meet up with them. Then I came back, left my aunt and uncle at the house. They're now preparing the meat and Jamoya is there helping them out. And I drove out and I said, I'll be coming back. Then I went and picked up her friends. We came, we gathered. Then I got out of the car with the cake, walked into the house, surprise.
Oh, nice.
She cried.
Oh, nice. That's really nice.
And she says she doesn't remember the last time she even had a birthday party. It was probably around when she was 10 years old. And this was her 28th birthday. So the whole family is there, introduced everything. Now everybody knows who she is. We explained our story, how we met, and what we were planning to do. She then called her mom. She told her mom as well about me. And that's when things got really serious. So when she then went back to Zim 2 weeks later, so this is now she in total, she was there for about 2 months in my house.
Yeah. Wow.
Then she went back to Zim for a week. In that week, she then met my mom physically, because she also came back with some piece of cloth from Zanzibar. That she had bought. She had bought about 2 meters of African print cloth. Yeah. So she bought one for her mom, one for mine. And she went to present it to my mom. So they met at at Gawa's restaurant. So again, before she left, she had hinted to me that if I'd ever considered leaving the country for green pastures, and I said I hadn't because I'd never seen any greener pastures yet. And she suggested certain countries. So I was now looking into job opportunities in places like Dubai, the States, Canada, Australia, all of those, because those are the countries she had pointed out she had access to going to easily if we were to then relocate. Because she said, no, I think it's only best that we be in the same time zone, same scenery for the sake of the relationship.
Yeah.
So we agreed. She meets my mom, and in the first meeting with my mom is now exploring the options of her seeing someone else. So she came with this guy, and I didn't know about him. She had been telling Remoyo throughout because they'd become best friends.
Yeah.
So she's telling Remoyo about this guy, and then she now finally comes up to meet up Remoyo, and she comes with him. So as Remoyo reaches to my mom to hug her as she's approaching, I don't know whether that was a joke or not, but she then says this to my mom. Ko, why did you come with him? We were hoping to get you a white guy when we go to the other side. My mom was in shock. I don't know. She then told me this like months later after we had broken up, but it just didn't. It was a crazy statement to bring out, especially for my mother.
It just kind of leaves a bit of a bad taste, doesn't it?
Yes. So she let that slide. She took it as a joke, and then it ended there. Fast forward now, Jamoyo goes back to work. She's now on the ship, and then she's now getting all serious about me relocating and stuff like that. So she pushed me and she says, no, you know what? Do your visa, do this, do ABCD, do ABCD. So one particular day, I'm doing my work. I get a phone call from Diamond Platinums, the Tanzanian artist. And he says, yo, dude, I'm coming to the mall. I need to do ABCD. So you know the usual drill. You come show me the easiest entrances that I can use for me to not... He's a shy guy.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
Yeah.
So he doesn't like crowds so much. So each time he comes to the mall, he tells me when he's coming. I take him to the closest entrance to the shop that he's trying to go to. He buys his stuff and immediately he's out.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't get to engage with too many people in the whole picture situation.
Yeah.
So we did our shopping. We did ABCD, what he needed to do. When we're done, he ran short of rands and he needed to still buy some stuff. So I bought the stuff on my card and then he gave me back the money in US dollar. And then after that, he took out another extra 300 and says, thank you. He gives me $300 more. And I said, thank you. So we walked away. He took off his watch and he gave me his watch.
Oh, nice.
This is a Patek Philippe. Diamond encrusted. I'm like, okay, wow. Gosh.
Nice.
This guy. I remember I even told him you didn't have to. Then he says, no, you've been such a good friend to me. Every time I need to do stuff, you're always there for me. So here you go. So I told this to Remoyo, this is what's happened. Oh, she was so excited. So now I finally have the money for my visa. So I pushed forward. August, I went and applied for my my visa to the States. I got my visa. Then I came back to SA. She then now says, why don't you quit your job? I don't think Remoyo understood what I gave up for me to then relocate and say I'm now moving forward to come through and live in another part of the world that you said let's move to. But also in that moment, I blame myself for not standing my ground enough as a man to say, no, this is the reason why I am jumping to this tune that you say let's jump to, as opposed to ABCD that I had lined up. So when I called Jamoyo notifying her that my visa had come out, she didn't tell me that she had proceeded to pay for a flight, but instead she told my mother.
Oh, wow.
She paid for a flight from Zim to the US.
She's doing the most, eh?
She had this term she used to use to a friend of hers every time they asked her why she's doing certain things for me.
Yeah.
And she would say, "Ndrukugadzisa boy yangu," which is that Winky D song. I'm making right what's meant to be mine.
Oh, nice. That's dope. That's dope.
So that also gave me reassurance. It showed me that she was willing to go the extra mile for me. So why couldn't I do the same for her?
Yeah.
So I then quit my job. I moved forward. Went to Zim, left my stuff with my mom. I isolated myself for a very long time. I changed numbers. She gave me a US WhatsApp number. I then started using a WhatsApp number that was distant that nobody else knew.
Wow.
Then she said, keep your circle close. Have 3 friends that know where you are at all times. And have your family only know the number that you use.
Okay.
So out of my whole circle, I picked 3 friends. Those are the only 3 people that knew where I was at all times.
Yeah.
And I had my family only know the number I was now using for my WhatsApp. And from there, I moved. Boom. stopped talking to my family. 90% of my family, my uncles, my aunts, they had no clue where I was.
This is really interesting because now I'm quite keen on tapping into what some of those lessons were. I'd like them to come to life. So I know there's a comment you said about never ignoring the red flags. What are these red flags?
So this is the thing. Remoyo, before she left Zim, she had been dating a guy who was married. Apparently, she said they were just kicking it. So let's put it as they were just kicking it. She had to, even after I had made it clear that I wanted to be with her and we were serious, and she had also insisted she was serious about what we were building. I don't know what she was running from. But for a person who was doing things so hasty, till this day, I still have questions regarding that. But again, in her being with this guy, she had to go and seek approval from this guy first.
What do you mean?
Before she officialized our relationship.
I mean, like, say to the guy, can I be with someone else and not be with you?
He told this guy, dude, I know you're married and we've been kicking it for about ABC number of years. I don't know how many years it was. I don't recall anymore. But I've met somebody and this guy seems to be treating me right.
Right.
And he's somebody I see as a husband, and I want to get married to this person.
And what? And they gave her permission.
And the guy says, I don't see why I should hold you back because I'm married. So I have my own tie-up. Jeez. I don't see why I should stop you from having yours.
There's some madness in the world, I tell you.
Yes. So that was a red flag I ignored. Because fast forward to the story, she still maintained contact with this guy even after.
And on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to pause this episode as we set the tone for the next episode. So far from this episode, we've learned two main things that I've picked up so far. One, don't procrastinate, because at some point, Carlos felt he should have said something when he noticed and he didn't. And never ignore the red flags. And I think we're going to have a really, really interesting time on the next episode when more of these red flags come out. But so far, we know that Zemoyo, who's the girl that he's dating, had to ask for the permission of a married man that she was asking for her to leave him and to be with Carlos. If that is not juicy enough for you to come back to the next episode, I don't know what is. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You've been listening to another Feeling Station podcast episode, and I look forward to catching you in next week's episode. I'm your host, Tinto, and I'm signing out. Peace.
Ow. Tell me what you're feeling.
Sati Zandaro Raini and Chagezang.
Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over.
Sati Zandaro Raini and Chagezang.
Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motoru no to kujiziro amai.
Kujiziro amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motoru no to kujiziro amai.